Welcome friends. We now move to indifference curve analysis. In the last few videos, we just discussed the marginal utility analysis of demand. A very popular alternative and a realistic method of explaining the consumer demand is ordinal utility approach. What is this ordinal utility approach? Now earlier the demand was spoken about in terms of money, that is the consumer satisfaction was taken up on basis of the money value. But since satisfaction is a psychological aspect, it cannot be measured quantitatively. Hence, scientifically, this movement to order the preferences not in terms of money but in terms of the order of preferences came into being. That is what is meant as indifference curve analysis. Here, the consumer's preference of choosing is based on the consumer's choices, and this tool uses this approach as an indifference curve approach to analyze the behavior of the consumer. Now, under what assumptions are these is this indifference curve approach being framed? First assumption is the consumer is assumed to be well aware of his taste and preferences. That is, he knows all the information about the product, the economic environment in which he lives, and then he chooses the product to buy or makes the order of his preferences. The second assumption is also based on the consumer's rational approach or actions that he takes. That means he acts very clearly, cleverly based on the knowledge that he has. He doesn't have any biased movement towards any commodity. The third one is here the indifference curve analysis assume that utility is only ordinarily expressible. That is, say for example, if a consumer is preferring a product A to B and for B he even prefers C, then in that case it is understood that he prefers A to both B and C. So quantitatively how much he prefers A to B or how much he prefers B to C is not to be expressed or is not able to be expressed, but instead could be said he prefers A even than rather than using B and C. So this is what this indifference curve analysis assume very strongly, that his utility is only ordinarily expressible, and the consumer is expected to have a consistent consumption pattern. That is, he always goes to the product that he likes much better than the other. In the first example I told you, he likes A to B and he prefers B to C, so he prefers A to both B and C. That means he is very consistent. He is comparing A to B and B to C, so they all are similar, and instead for B and C he applies to go for A. The last one is, if combination of A has more commodities than combination of B, then A must be preferred to B. This is in other terms it is said to be the more is better than the assumption of non-satisfaction. Without satisfaction, if he doesn't want to go for B, instead he goes to A because of the combination of the products there, he prefers A to be better than B. Now we move to indifference curve. What is an indifference curve? An indifference curve is a curve in which all the possible combinations of two goods put together give an equal satisfaction to a consumer. That is, two products are to be taken, and in it various combinations of both the products are being selected, and in which he gets the same level of satisfaction by consuming these two commodities, but at different sizes, more of A, less of B, less of B, less of A and more of B, and so on. This curve, which represents all these combinations of two commodities, is called as an indifference curve. In other words, it's given the combination which provide the same level of satisfaction that the consumer prefers is called as indifference curve. It's also called as iso-utility curve or equal utility curve. Now you have been explained this with an example in the table number 8 at page number 2.61. Now see, there are four combinations. That is, the consumer is expected to take food and clothing to be a combination of utility like. So for 1 unit of food, he likes to have 12 units of clothing. So the marginal rate of substitution, that is, he is happy with 1 unit of food with 12 units of clothing. He is not foregoing anything here, forgetting the other. The combination, he is happy with it. That's the first combination. So there is no extra satisfaction that he gains in one or the one preference over the other. In the second case, he is willing to have one more additional unit of food, whereas he is ready to forgo 6 units of clothing. He leaves 6 units of clothing, but to get 2, that is 1 more additional unit of food. That also gives him the same satisfaction that he had derived in combination A. Now here, he is ready to forgo 6 units of clothing to get just 1 unit of food. So the marginal rate of substitution becomes 6. That is the difference between the first unit of clothing and the second unit of clothing for the second combination. So that is 6. Now again, when he is ready to have 3 units of food, if he likes even more richer food and he wants 3 units of food, his clothing, he is ready to have only 4 units of clothing here. Now again, the marginal rate of substitution comes down to 2. Like while he was ready to forgo 6 units for 1 unit of food, now he is ready to forgo only 2 units of food more than the previous one. So that is 2. Then the last one, for 4 units of food, he is ready to have only 3 units of clothing, here giving him a marginal rate of substitution to be 1. Now the same table is being drawn in the shape of a curve. Now in the figure 17, you can see the unit of clothing on the y-axis and unit of food on the x-axis. For every unit of food, the clothing that he is having is plotted as points A, B, C, D, and the points have been joined to get the indifference curve. Indifference curve is IC along with the y and the x-axis, and the various points shows the same type of happiness that he derives out of 4 different combinations.